Hello and welcome. My name is Hemingway Jones and welcome to a most magnificent handwriting practice. Today, I'm going to work on my cursive handwriting and I invite you to write along with me. Grab some paper, choose an ink color, perhaps light a candle, pour a cup of tea and settle in for a fun and interesting practice. Today, my goals are very ambitious. I'm going to strive for a consistent letter form to get my slant correct, my spacing, my heights, just my overall word forms. That's very ambitious for me to try to be a bit more disciplined. But I want to sort of create this sort of academic 19th century inspired charming handwriting that would just be appropriate for letters and for postcards and little notes that you'd leave people. So join me today, won't you, as I embark on my most ambitious handwriting yet. First, let's start, as we always do, with our tools. Today, I'm using this French ruled Clairefontaine paper, which I really like. It's quite large and just a lot of fun to use and to make messes in. So we should have a great time with this paper. For pen, I've chosen a very esoteric choice. This is my beautiful and gorgeous Waterman 5 fountain pen in celluloid with a beautiful flex nib that should do an absolutely brilliant job on these pages. Has a lever fill and it's just the perfect size. Nice balance, bit elegant. So perhaps choose something similar for yourself. Now, which ink did I put in there? Well, since I'm thinking academic, I had to go with Enderilium's Cuttlefish Brown. I love that picture of the cuttlefish, by the way. But one of my favorite things about these inks, if you haven't used them, is the little jam jar. The little bit of marmalade that you would spread on your toast if you were having full English. And I just love that association. It's perfect for this. It's easy to fill. Nice wide-mouthed bottle. Very stable too, not going anywhere. So I'm using this. I usually use a shop towel, but today I have a paper towel handy because my shop towel is hidden by my camera, so I can't reach it, but I do recommend shop towels. Okay, as you can see, we have this beautiful French lined paper, which is some of my favorite paper, and we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to keep our lowercase letters to the second line. So we're going to make them about here. And we're then going to use the next to the last line at the top for our ascenders, just to keep them nice and uniform. We'll see how long that holds out. And then for our descenders, we're going to try to go down to that first line, but maybe slightly past because they just look slightly off balanced otherwise. One of the other things that we're going to do is we're going to bring the line up at the end. So each one will end with a little hook, just so it can link to the next letter. So everything we do is going to conform to that. See, I'm trying to keep my ovals consistent this time. And I say this time because there's a whole bunch of these handwriting practices and I do different things at different times. Sometimes it's more passionate and wild, and sometimes it's more restrained, like today. But this is fun too. This is like art to me. And it does take a bit of discipline because I do have some issues, guys. I have numbness in my hand and in my right arm that just makes it rather challenging for me to write. And I do have this sense that at some point I may not be able to write as well as I'm writing now. So I'm going to enjoy it for all it's worth and to use it as much as I can. So you can see here, this is a fairly standard Palmer alphabet. But if we can keep it consistent, it should look really beautiful once we set it to words. Oh, do you hear that? This pen makes a beautiful scribing noise. As that flex nib wants to flex on the downstrokes if you put any pressure at all. And that's one of the joys of this pen. The Watchman 5 is one of the most extraordinary writers that there are available. And the beautiful thing about it is it's fairly easy to come by in comparison to something like a Watchman 52. I think because it's slightly newer, if you will. I mean, late 20s, 30s, that it's a little less elite and a little less rare than a Watchman 52, but no less magnificent and very well balanced in the hand. So you can still find these out there. And if you're careful, you don't have to pay too much. Q is my favorite. I love Q. That was a decent Q. I'm feeling really good about that Q. Now this is where I am having a little bit of trouble because I just did an R. Now I'm going to concentrate on R for a second. So which R should I concentrate on today? Should I do the up with the little loop that comes back? That's rather nice. Can we repeat it? That's the challenge for today. And yes, yeah, we can repeat it. Perhaps less successfully that time. So there's that R, and there's also this one, which is also rather nice. It feels a little alien to me, this one, even though I think this is more actual Palmer. But I think I'm going to go for the little loop and just make it more of a suggestion of a loop and then loop back down. But just remember, whatever stage you're at, don't be too hard on yourself. Just enjoy the process. That's what makes this fun. If it's not fun, why are you doing it? It should be the journey that you get the most satisfaction out of. I feel like even my handwriting is improving. Although, truth be told, I have to go pretty slowly to make it as pretty as I would like. When I write fast, it's more like an readout from an EKG machine. It's a bit more bumpy, sort of like a mountain range in profile. But I'm okay with that. Gosh, I really like this noise. RST. It's really funny when you speak and write, you can really lose where you are. And then suddenly you're like, oh boy, am I forgetting the alphabet? X scares me. I'll admit it. That's not bad, but X does scare me. Each time I do it, I think I hold my breath a little bit. Same with Z. Up in a big curve, curve again, down, plunging down and up. That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm okay with that. It's a bit like a roller coaster. So the coaster goes up, plunges down, loops back up to that line, plunges down again, loops back up. So pretty nice. So there's our letter forms that we're going to strive to use consistently. Pretty nice for me. I'm very pleased with this. My R's are mostly uniform. To be frank, I'm looking at them now and I feel like the ones with the little loop aren't as pretty or perfect as the other ones. But you know what? That's not the goal today, is it? It's not pretty or perfect. It's just the best we can do right now and to enjoy the process. And so I will. Okay, we need to do some capitals. One of my favorite A's. I love that A. You know, and technically these capitals really shouldn't go all the way up to the top of the line. But I do want to write a little bigger because it'll be lost on camera otherwise. I'm starting to feel better about my D's. That's a decent D. The E didn't quite make it where it should have been. Oh, poor E. We tried, but we didn't quite get it there. Now G is another form that I really like. It sort of reminds me of an ampersand. And it's really quite lovely. Ooh, can I do a cursive ampersand? I'm thinking no, but let me try. Okay, that's sort of it. H, oh boy. The first initial of my wife's name, always a challenge for me. I generally like to do one like this. My wife's is more like this, which is a bit Spencerian, and I quite like it. But I'm going to stick with mine today because I feel like it fits this sort of mid-century Palmer look a bit better. Wow, I love the sound of this nib, guys. J. My J's I feel very strongly about, I think because it's my middle initial. I have a lot of practice. Okay. L's also very mid-century L right here. I like that. I like the loops. I feel like it says L. Now I get a lot of comments about my M's because many people do M's like this. And I do recognize that as an M, but I was taught to do it like that. So I have a tendency to sort of add this extra hump, if you will. And I am okay with it, but my critics don't like it. My N, similarly, N curls, drops down, plunges up, and then races back down. Quite like it. Okay, O. O is deceptively hard. Can we all agree that an O, a curvy O, is very difficult? That looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. P. Now, I really like this P, and I use this P quite a bit, and you'll see why. It looks very uniform once we do our R's. Same way Q is based on the O, and here comes the R. So it's basically the P with another roll and a plunge with an exit ramp. And then S is close to the G. Now, S's I obsess over. Why is that? It's because of my last name. So I really like these S's that come up and around, and they look like the G clef in music. But I also like my sailboat S's. These plunge down, they come up, and then they come across straight. And to me, it looks like a little sailboat, and that's what I love about it. It's so charming. But I normally do the one that looks like the G clef, and I quite like it. T. T, I really like that T. When I write freely, I often just do a simple cross. But for this, I feel like it needs to have more style and embellishment. It just needs that extra flair, I think. I really do. U. That's a nice U. Hey, U. I'm very pleased with that. Now, V's also very deceptive. You get a lot of trouble with your V's because they can be different widths, different heights. These pretty good. So I'm feeling happy about that. And W, oh boy. If you've watched this channel, you know how much I love W's. So many different W's. So many. I just love them. This is one. Yeah. Now, maybe that's a bit Spencerian, and maybe doesn't fit in with this letter form, if you will. Probably more plungy and keep it closed, like that. But, I mean, these loops, come on, these loops are so great. But we have to pick one, and if we're being honest, let me see. I think we need to do the tighter W. I was thinking that the loops might work, but I do feel like it's a bit too ornate for this letter form. So I'm going with the tighter version. X. Capital X, tough. Sort of plunge. And this one does the opposite. Gosh, so simple and so hard. I'm not happy with those. That's a very difficult letter. Very hard to get it uniform. I'm starting now here, go up to the top, down, and then cross it. Oh, okay. I think that's a little better. There we go. All right, I feel better about that. Sort of a simple, deeper line and then a cross. All right, we're going to go with this form. Wow, what a scribing noise this makes. It almost sounds a bit angry. I kind of like that. Or let's say kind of courageous, like adventurous. Okay, I think we have our letter forms. I was hoping to do it in a very easy, digestible way, but I had to practice a little along the way. But I think if we write with it, it'll be that much more interesting and illuminating. So the next thing we should do is actually write a sentence. So let's try it. So how are you? Do you feel okay? Is your hand feeling all right? Not getting too cramped? My hand feels very comfortable with this pen. I'm trying not to grip it too hard. I'm having one of my better days. I don't have too much numbness in my hand at all right now. I'm sort of gripping it like this. This is working for me right now. It's keeping it nice and balanced. Sort of a light pinch. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on there. Sometimes I use the threads to anchor my hands. I'm a little lower on this one. And then of course my back finger is sort of helping out and keeping it all nice and balanced. And then this is sort of on the back of my hand or up on that first knuckle, however I can manage. And it's doing a nice job of steering it across the page for me. So I think now we can try to keep things very consistent, but to write something interesting that, say, if you found it on a desk in a library at Oxford or Harvard or at the University of Pennsylvania, where I went through the art library there, whose name escapes me at the moment, but a beautiful library, one of my favorites. And I was looking at the desks, at the notes that the students had left behind. And many of those were in cursive, and some had interesting drawings and calculations and things. I love the little ephemera that people leave behind. Always take notice. You never know what treasures you're going to find. So, all right, let's start with a T. We're going to go up to the top of the line, plunge down, and then curve back up to the first line. That looks pretty good. I have a pretty good, I went too high there. I have a pretty good slant. Okay. Now, I've mentioned this before, but if you dot your I's with a lot of clarity in a nice round circle rather than a dash, it really helps to elevate your handwriting. Just that one simple thing. Okay, see here, it's like a repetitive letter form. Now, similarly, if you cross your T's with a nice tidy cross, it will also help to keep things tidy. Now you can bring it across the whole letter, but it needs to be fairly level if you're trying to make your handwriting really pretty. I'm pleased with this. Now the other thing is you have to adapt your punctuation. So your comma should be sort of aesthetic and pretty and not just a blob or a dash. So try to keep it consistent. By the way, this paper is really nice. Has a nice finish. It feels very good with this pen. I'm also surprised at how dark the cuttlefish brown looks. All right, this is my longest word. This is where I fall off, usually at the end of long words, so I'm trying very hard. And did I spell it correctly? If I mess up the spelling, just forgive me, because it's not that easy to speak and write at the same time. And to try to make it so that I can explain what I'm doing while I do it. Okay. So I'm rather pleased with that. The slant's not wholly consistent, and neither is the spacing. You can see here, though, it kind of was my first attempt, so I'm going to give myself a break there. The rest isn't too bad. The spacing's a little off here. The rest is okay. This is probably too thin as a letter. It should be about as wide as that. But everything else isn't too bad. The heights are fairly consistent for me. So I'm pretty happy with that. All right, let's try to write a little faster. Should we sort of challenge ourselves? Why not? So that hesitation was me saying, do I connect it? Or do I just let it fall? Because when you do a capital O and you try to connect it to an F, for instance, it's not that easy, and you could end up turning your O into an A. You ever do that where you hunt around for what you're supposed to cross? I know I need to cross something, but what? Where did it go? See, that was kind of a too quick of a comma. Do you see the difference between that and that? I can fix it. But that's one of those things that you kind of have to keep in mind. I'm going to try to write a little quicker, just to see if I'm really learning something. That's a great noise. Not too bad. Let me try one more. All right, let's see, I'm wrestling with my capital I. Do I want to start here or here? I think it should be really here. Here's an apostrophe, so sort of like a comma. Oh boy, that's scary. Coming off a V into an E. But these are the sort of challenges that makes it fun. And I think that's what's interesting if you sort of write different things. You come across these different scenarios. And it pushes your penmanship that much further. So this is what we've done so far. Let's critique it gently. Always critique yourself gently, because I've said it, you've heard me, we all have handwriting dysmorphia. We all think our handwriting is worse than it actually is. I think my handwriting's pretty bad, to be honest. I'm not coming on here as an expert saying that, hey, look at me, I write fantastically. I am the know-all of fountain pen cursive writing. No, not at all. I see myself quite the opposite, that I'm scrappy and I'm enjoying the journey and I'm trying new things and I'm sharing it with you. I'm being a bit vulnerable and showing you that I'm not that good and that I have weaknesses, that even my writing hand is a bit numb and I have to work with that. That there are these things that we all need to transcend in order to be happy with the way we write. And I think the ultimate thing that we need to transcend is not the mechanics of our hand. It's not the limitations of our body. It's not our knowledge and our letter forms or which historic handwriting we're influenced by or which calligraphy we're copying. No, my friends. The thing we need to transcend the most is our own harsh opinions of ourselves. And this is why practicing handwriting is so important, because it, like many things, can be used as an analogy to our own journey, to develop our character, to make connections, and to be gentle and easy with ourselves. So please, be easy with yourself. I just did this. I'm happy. It's not bad. It's not perfect. Spacing here is kind of bad. I guess if you look at these in isolation from the rest, these are consistent, so that's nice. My heights aren't bad, they're a little up and down, but for me and the way I usually write, this is amazing. And if you've seen me write in the past, just to be able to do this is a huge step forward. So I'm going to be happy, but I'm not going to be cocky because I have a long way to go and I'm not sure I want to get there. I like this. I like the journey. Okay, so before we stop, I'm going to try one more exercise. And this is to sort of push myself to really transcend to the next level. And what I'm going to do is to try to write as quickly as I can. So let's see how we do, because you know I'm a very deliberate writer. I'm just not a quick writer in the best of times and the best of terms. So let me give it a shot and just see how I do. Wow, this is really hard for me. But it's almost like you kind of have to. Oof, I'm lifting up off the ground. But I'm still not doing too bad. The lines definitely help. It's putting out a lot of ink right now. I'm still trying to stay true to my letter forms. Trying to. Okay, that's about as quickly as I can write. By the way, this is a quote from, I believe, Sting's second solo album. And it was from the liner notes. And I always felt like it just sounded so romantic and so interesting and intriguing. I just thought it'd be fun to sort of write the kind of romantic little note that I would find in an old library that someone may have left for someone else or part of a scavenger hunt or something like that. And this quote always gave me a sense of romance, even though I really don't wear cologne. But you might know me by the cut of my clothes. I think I do dress probably pretty distinctive. But let's critique my writing and see how it is. Not too bad. Fairly uniform here. It starts to fall apart a bit here. Certainly on heights, you see this N lifted up. My T crosses are a bit all over the place. And these are actually a little bit more disciplined. My N is better anchored there. Here, similar, not too bad. You will looks pretty good. No went a little high with the K. The B plunged below the bottom line. To me, that's one of the things that makes me cringe. My own writing becomes cringeworthy when something like that happens. But it's okay. I'm going to be gentle with myself. Okay, the M's would be nice if the humps of my M's were more uniform, but not bad. This really isn't that bad. I think if this were left, it looks pretty interesting and intriguing, which is really what I'm going for. And I also feel like it's mostly adhering to a Palmer standard, or at least the one that I had established on the other page, although it's similar to what I did here as well. So yeah, very similar. You can see I just linked all of this together in the intro while I was preparing for this next section and to go a little nuts and to write a bit quicker. But the moral of this story is, and yes, there is a moral to this story, practice, have fun, work on your handwriting, be deliberate with it, enjoy it, be easy on yourself. One of the things I would encourage you to let go if you can is this concept that your handwriting isn't worthy of whichever pen you use. It's all about process. Enjoy your fountain pens. Your handwriting is more than worthy. It's you and your own personal growth. So go with it, keep practicing, and we'll do this again very soon. So if you like these kinds of videos, please let me know in the comments and I'll do more. They're a lot of fun for me. I love connecting with all of you in the comments about your own handwriting journeys. Maybe describe how you do your letter forms, how you do your practices. I'd love to hear it. And if you've reached this point in the video, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you on this journey with us. We go to some amazing places and we do some interesting things. And if you want to support the channel even more to help keep the lights on, consider becoming a member. And if you want to practice your handwriting even more, you can join our pen pal group for Illuminati and Cognoscenti members. I'd love to have you behind the scenes as well. So I make new videos all the time and I have a live show just about every week. So I can promise you, we will see each other again very, very soon, further up the road. So take care.